You know, you would think that by this point I would be capable of saying hi and welcome back to my channel without sounding like such a weirdo. But unfortunately that is a skill that I am yet to master. So hello buds. Today we're talking about rejection, which is such a fun topic I think. Most people at some point in their lives are going to have to reject someone else and also probably be rejected by someone else. Before I start though, it would be very cool of you to go and subscribe to my channel. Also, if you end up liking the video at any point, it would be cool if you could like it. That would be helpful to me. I would enjoy it. Anyway, thank you. Let's get started. I think that the most important part of rejecting someone nicely is to actually do it. Don't just ghost them and hope that they figure it out on their own. I've just done a whole video on why ghosting sucks, so go watch that one next. But essentially when people ghost, they're doing it to save themselves the discomfort of an awkward conversation. And unfortunately this means that the person being ghosted gets left feeling confused and sad and more worried about dating in the future. So while any form of rejection isn't going to feel good, at least when you are honest and actually do it instead of just disappearing, it saves people the embarrassment and confusion of trying to talk to you and just being outright ignored. Speaking of honesty, that's the next important part of rejecting someone in a kind way. I think it's important to just be honest and direct with them about how you're feeling. You really don't need to make up some excuse about why you're doing it, like that you're just not ready for a relationship or that you're just so super duper busy with work at the moment, because when you make an excuse like this, they're usually about something temporary, which gives this person hope that in the future you might change your mind. Just don't say anything that could give them false hope unless you genuinely mean it. Like if you're rejecting them because you genuinely just are too busy for a relationship right now, that's obviously fine. But if you say this when you don't mean it, you're gonna have someone swiping up on your Instagram stories to check in with you every day for the rest of your life. So the point here is to be honest, say what you mean, but, and this is an important but, please don't do it to an extent that is going to be mean. Like if you are ending things because you think this person is ugly or weird, I think maybe it's okay to not be completely honest about that part, but you can be honest about the fact that maybe you don't feel a romantic connection there or something. The next part of rejecting someone nicely is to avoid cliches wherever possible. I feel like this is such a hypocritical thing to say given that the last line I gave you was essentially a cliche. But where possible, try not to use lines that everyone has heard before because they are always going to feel fake and unpersonal. I can't think of the right word for what I'm trying to say here, so I'm going to go with unpersonal for now, but if you know what I mean, let me know. I cannot imagine anything worse than getting dumped and they just give you this whole speech about how it's not you, it's me. I'm just not ready to commit to a serious relationship right now. You're too good for me and you deserve someone better. I just think we need to see other people and that we're better off as friends. Like I'm cringing just saying these things. I don't think anyone actually believes that you mean these lines because they're so overused. Everyone has heard them before in a context where someone is trying to be nice about rejecting them. Also on that note is that I think I called it a rejection speech. It doesn't need to be a speech. It does not need to be long. In fact, the longer it is, the worse probably, I would say. They don't need to sit through 2 hours of you throwing reasons and excuses for why you don't want them when you could probably do it in 1 or 2 minutes. Also, don't feel like you have to do it in person. I don't know where this notion came from that it's rude to dump someone over text or over phone. I guess it probably comes from times before phones when you would throw rocks at people's houses. Is that a thing? Rejection rocks? Are they just sharper than the rom-com confessing your love rocks? If they're not a thing, can we make them a thing where you throw a rock? No, let's not make rejection rocks the thing. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is a text message or a phone call actually for most people is probably nicer than being rejected in person. It's probably just a lot easier on both of you. Obviously the exception here is if you're in a long-term relationship with someone. I feel like that probably warrants a face-to-face actual conversation. But if it's more of a casual thing, I think doing it over the phone would be preferred by most people. I mean, one of the benefits of this is that it gives you time to think through what you're going to say so you don't end up accidentally saying something super mean. Plus it also gives them the opportunity to think through how they want to respond and also just put their phone down if they're super upset and don't want to respond straight away. If anyone watching this has any plans in the future to date me and then reject me, just know that my preferred method of being rejected is a text message saying you just couldn't cope with how cute and cool I was. Thanks, I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, the next part of rejecting someone nicely, I think, is to not make it go on for any longer than necessary. If you know and feel in your gut that you are eventually going to have to reject this person, please don't keep leading them on. Because what are your goals here? Are you hoping that they might eventually decide for themselves that they don't want to be with you and then you won't have to reject them at all? Are you hoping that maybe you'll change your mind and fall in love with them and never have to reject them? Or that the longer you drag it out, it's somehow going to end up being a lot easier, which it won't be. The longer you wait to end things, the harder it's going to be for both of you, because it's just more time and feelings that have been put into the relationship. And the last part of rejecting someone nicely is to just cope with your own discomfort about it. It's not going to be a fun experience for you. It's not going to be a fun experience for them either. You're probably gonna feel a bit bad, but there really is no outcome where you won't end up feeling bad and they won't end up feeling bad eventually. Like if you decide to ghost or drag it out, or just decide to date them anyway and spend the rest of your life in a miserable relationship. All of these are just ways of avoiding the uncomfortable rejection conversation in the short term, but they're gonna mean that you have to deal with even worse emotions in the longer term. So just accept that you're going to feel uncomfortable for a minute. Just rip the band-aid off, let it feel bad for however long it needs to feel bad for, and then move on with your life, knowing that the situation is over and has been dealt with. Anyway, that's all from me. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Also, please leave a comment if you have any other tips for rejecting people nicely, because it's something I'm still working on. I'm no expert. Also, if you want to comment the worst or the funniest way you've ever been rejected, please do that. I think it would be nice to share in that pain with each other. I will share mine first. The funniest way I've ever been rejected is that they called me an abandoned train station, in the sense that I'm kind of cool and fun but should probably be left alone. That's a line that I wouldn't recommend using, which I think was kind of helpful actually, because it was strange enough for me to find it funny instead of hurtful. So maybe that's a bonus piece of advice, is to just say something really fucking weird when you reject someone. So even if their feelings get hurt, they at least have this funny weird thing that you've said to them that they can tell their friends about, and also that they can tell me about in the comments. Okay, that's it. Love you, bye!